Hey fam, we're back with another banger. What if Issei awakened as the true Red Dragon Emperor? So before we start, if you are craving adult mature content joy, and my Patreon now link are in the description box. Alright, enough talk, let's fire it up. Issei Hyodo was waiting for his date Yuma at the shopping center. My first date. I can't believe it. Issei thought to himself. He could not screw this up. He had to make a good impression on Yuma if he ever wanted to continue being her boyfriend. Issei was staring into space when he noticed Yuma was crossing the street to get to him. When she made it, she looked at him with a sorry look and said, "Sorry I was so late, my parents were afraid of me going on my first date. I had to convince them everything was fine. It's her first date too." Issei thought, I better not screw this up for her. They then went on their way to both of their first dates. First they went shopping and bought some cute clothes for Yuma. Then he took her to the arcade where they played some Space Fighters 3 and Hoops Galore. Finally, they ended up in a little ice cream shop eating ice cream. Wow, she sure is beautiful. I am very lucky that she asked me out. He thought about it in great detail. They were both standing on the bridge. He was slumped over the railing, thinking about things that were going in his life. When she came up to him and said, "Issei, are you okay?" Wait, that doesn't sound right. He then realized that Yuma was talking to him. He looked around frantically, realizing that he was daydreaming. So stupid of him. He frantically took a bit of his ice cream and said nervously, "Yay Yuma, I am just fine." He was eating his ice cream too fast and he started choking. "Here, take this," Yuma said as she handed him a napkin. After that scene in the ice cream shop, they left and were now walking on a walkway surrounded by blossom trees. Blossoms were flying everywhere in the sunset. It was actually quite beautiful. Suddenly, Yuma ran ahead and stopped a few feet in front of Issei. "Since this is both our first dates, I would like to do something to always remember this day," she said as she walked slowly to him. "I going to get to kiss her. Awesome. My first kiss on my first date. How much more awesome could this get?" She continued to walk towards him until she was directly in his face. She bent over to whisper something in his ear. "Would you die for me?" Huh. He couldn't believe what he just heard from Yuma. "Now look Yuma, we just met and this is only our first date," Issei said in a panicked voice. "Wow, you really are just that stupid. Let me say this in a way you could understand. You will die for me," she said as she flew back. She suddenly grew wings and could float above ground. She put her hand up to the sky and a spear made of light formed in her hand. "Now die at my hand." She threw the light spear at Issei, who, when hit him, fell to his knees. Yuma slowly descended to the ground and looked at Issei, who was still slumped over on the ground. When suddenly, Issei started laughing. Issei then stood up with the light spear in his hand. "So you really thought that a simple light spear would kill me? You are the foolish one, Rainer." Yuma, or Rainer, looked at Issei with a surprised look. "What, are you that surprised that the Red Dragon Emperor could stop a light spear? Your masters have some things to teach you then." "I shall explain. I am the Red Dragon Emperor, Issei Hyodo, one of two of the great heavenly dragons. I have a power that can rival Lucifer himself. So a little fallen angel like yourself would do me no harm." She was on her knees, stunned by the news. She was told to kill this human, as she was told that he was a human that possess supernatural powers. That's it, nothing about a heavenly dragon. But how do you know I am a fallen angel?" she asked. "Well, it was quite simple. From the moment I saw you I knew you were one. I could also smell it off of you. Fallen angels have a very strong scent." Smell. Does he really have that strong senses? "So when you asked me out, I knew it was a perfect time to warn you fallen angels. You ever try to mess with me or Asia again, I won't let any of you live." With that, he created a mass of his dragon flames and sent them after Rainer, but she created a teleport circle just in time and got out of there. Later, back at Issei's apartment, he was with his childhood best friend Asia Argento. She was currently making dinner, while Issei was busy watching TV in the living room. He planned on keeping today's events a secret. He didn't want Asia knowing he went on a date with a fallen angel. "Issei, dinner is ready," Asia called to Issei in a cute voice. Issei loved her voice, but never told Asia that. When he was done eating dinner, he went upstairs to get dressed and go to bed. Soon after he jumped into bed, Asia joined him. She often felt scared when she was by herself at night. So he let her sleep in his bed. They never did anything weird, it was just a way to comfort her. While Asia was asleep, Issei stayed up and thought about what had happened that day. It was so pathetic of him, to act like that. He was trying so hard to act like he knew nothing that he forced himself to think what a normal teenager would think. Peef, whatever, what's done is done. So, you think they got the message? The dragon that lived inside of him was speaking to him inside his head just as he frequently does. Let's hope she delivered the message to her higher-ups. I don't want them thinking they can attack us whenever they want to. The fallen angels have attacked him and Asia for a while now. They have only attacked them straight up before now they are trying to trick me. I definitely sensed fear within that fallen angel girl. I don't think we will be seeing her anytime soon. Well, anyways, I start that new school tomorrow. I don't want to be tired on my first day. Good night, dragon. I told you to call me Ddrag, it's a more fitting name than dragon. I know what you told me, it's just weird to be so casual with a dragon. A dragon that lives inside of you and is a part of your everyday life and you yourself. Good point. Anyways, night, Ddrag. Issei woke up before Asia did. He looked at his clock to see that it was almost 7 a.m., classes start at 8 a.m. He gently nudged Asia to wake her up, she just grunted and hugged his arm tighter. Asia, we have to get up, our first day at Kuo Academy is today. Asia then let go of Issei and sat up. She looks so cute when she wakes up. I will go make breakfast while you do your girl things in the bathroom. Asia nodded slightly, still trying to make sense of what he just saw yet, she's still half asleep. Issei went downstairs to make breakfast. When Asia came downstairs, uniform on, breakfast was on the table ready to be eaten. After their breakfast, they both grabbed their bags and started walking to Kuo Academy. Kuo Academy was a big school, but he and Asia managed it just fine. Since they were in the same class, they both walked together to their first class. Alright class, I want to welcome 2 new students to Kuo Academy. Their names are Issei Hyodo and Asia Argento. Let's welcome them to our class. The teacher said with delight. Hi, I'm Asia Argento, please take care of me. Asia said with a smile on her face. Next was Issei, he walked to the front of the class to introduce himself. Hey, my name's Is. He suddenly looked around the room, he smelled something bad. He smelled a devil, not just any regular devil, a powerful one. Issei, are you okay? The teacher asked. Yay, sorry, I'm just a little nervous. Anyways, my name's Issei Hyodo. I'm happy to be at Kuo Academy. Right, Issei, you and Asia will sit in the back row. The teacher said while pointing to 2 empty seats. They nodded and walked towards their new seats. Issei was worried. Fallen angels were one thing, but devils. He could just smell one, he knew it. When he was scanning the room, his eyes fell on a boy with blonde hair. Him, that one, that's the devil. After that boring class was over, the devil kid started walking towards him and Asia. Asia, stay close, he said to Asia with a worried look. When the devil kid walked up to him and Asia, he just smiled and said, hello. My name is Kiba Yuto, I and Occult Research Club would like to welcome you to the school by having you over for some tea. He said all that with a warm smile. So Kiba, huh, did they know who I am? Okay, yay sure, Asia and I would love some tea. Okay, would after school be okay with you? Yay sure, Issei said as Kiba said goodbye and walked away. Weird, did they do that with every student? Or did they know what power I possess? Partner, be careful, I sense danger from that one. I can also sense there's more devils than him, also more powerful than him. Thanks Ddrag, are you ready for a fight? I don't think they want the Red Dragon Emperor to come over for tea as a welcome gift. I think they want something more. After the school day was over, Issei and Asia were walking to the old school building to meet with the Occult Research Club. They stood in front of the door and Issei turned to Asia and said, Asia, I don't want to scare you but I need to tell you what they are so you are prepared. Asia, Kiba is a devil, and I think every else in there is one too. Asia thought about this and nodded to Issei. Okay, let's just be on our toes when we are in there, and remember Issei. Try not to start any fights. It's true, Issei got angry and started fights with the supernatural world a lot. He has a bad temper, especially when they don't treat Asia right, then he gets pissed. They then opened the door to the first inner room. There were some old coats and bags laying on the hooks. They then knocked on the second door. "Come in," said a woman from inside. Issei then turned the doorknob and let Asia in first, then he walked in and closed the door. Inside, there was 3 people, a little girl with silver hair, a woman standing by the window with crimson hair and big blue eyes, then Kiba, who was standing next to the door. "Welcome to Kuo Academy. My name is Rias Grimori. I am the president of the Occult Research Club," Rias said with a warm smile. "These are some of the other members. The girl with the white hair is Kaneko Tuju, she is a first year in this school. This young man standing by the door is Kiba Yuto, he is a second year at Kuo Academy. So these are the devils at this school. Weird, they seem so normal, at least to normal people." He knew he was in the presence of a very powerful devil, Rias Grimori, daughter of one of the 72 pillars. "Would you care to sit down and have some tea?" Rias asked Issei and Asia with another warm smile. "Yes please, we would love some tea." Issei answered Rias's question while moving towards the couch, Asia following close behind. After they had their tea, they were talking about events at Kuo Academy, such as the annual sports festival. When they were all chatting about current events, the doorknob turned and clicked. A young woman about the same age as Rias walks into the clubroom. "I wonder who she is." "Oh, Akino, I thought you were on a vacation in America," Rias said with a confused look on her face. "Well, I came back sooner than expected. I had a lot of fun in America, but I thought it was a little too much all at once. So I came home," Akino said with a smile. "Oh, Issei and Asia, this is Akino. Yet another member of the Occult Research Club. She smells of fallen angel and devil, how is that possible?" Issei thought to himself. "Well, I think we should be going, thank you so much for your hospitality," Issei said as he rose up with Asia. "Thank you for coming and having tea with us, it's not often we have strangers in this building." As Asia and Issei were walking to the door, Rias stopped them. "Oh, one more thing before you go, Kiba, do it now," Rias said to Kiba. Suddenly there was a flash and a sword appeared in Kiba's hand. He began charging towards Asia, when suddenly, the blade stopped before it could touch Asia. Everyone looked toward the 3 people standing by the door. The blade was stopped by none other than Issei. He caught it with his bare hand. Issei then snapped the blade of the sword with a flick of his wrist, then he punched Kiba in the chest, making him fly into the wall behind him. Everyone stood there in amazement at what Issei had just done. He just caught and broke one of Kiba's swords, and with his bare hand. Kiba, are you okay?" Rias asked while running to Kiba who was still laying on the ground with a big hole in the wall behind him that he made when he was thrown into it. "Yay, I'm fine, just surprised," Kiba said while looking towards Issei, who was still glaring everyone in the room. Rias then helped Kiba get off the floor and dusted him off. She then looked at Issei with a smile on her face. "Well, it looks as if my suspicions were true. You are more than just a regular human, aren't you?" Rias said. Issei looked at Rias with eyes that could kill. "What the hell was that? You know you could have asked me if I was human or not. What would have happened if I was human and could not stop that sword?" Issei said while releasing a huge amount of power and aura. "If you ever try anything like that again, I swear, I will make you all suffer. No one points their sword at Asia, ever." He then summoned his boosted gear on his left arm. Boost. Closing square bracket. The dragon living in his body then used the gem in the middle of Issei's sacred gear to double his power. "Issei, calm down, I'm fine, see?" Asia screamed while hugging Issei's right arm. "Calm down, I'm sure we can figure out why she did this. Just please put that power away," Asia screamed to Issei in an attempt to make him calm down. Issei then heard as Ia's cries and put his boosted gear away. Power reset. Drake then reset Issei's power as he put away his boosted gear. "Issei, I'm very sorry for putting Asia in danger, I just had suspicions that you were more than human," Rias said while she was helping Kiba off the floor. "You know, you could have just asked, you didn't have to go all out and try to attack Asia," Issei said while clinging onto Asia, fearful that devils would try to take her away. When Kiba was picked up and dusted off and the devils were settled down, Rias asked Issei, "So, if you're not human, then what are you?" You're obviously not a devil. Well, you see, the reason I was able to stop that sword, and create that power out of thin air, was because I am the holder of one of the heavenly dragons. Everyone except for Asia was shocked. They all looked at Issei with a fearful glance. So I just made one of the two heavenly dragons angry at us the first time we met, not good, Rias though. So, how was I not able to detect that amount of power coming from your body? Rias asked. Well, Asia here is human, but she is also very good at putting seals onto people, using her sacred gear. Issei then stood up and removed his shirt, revealing chain tattoos running up and down his torso and limbs. So you want to suppress your powers so that the supernatural can't see you. Is that correct? Rias asked. Yay, that's right, but I guess it hasn't done a very good job, has it? Issei said. Issei put his shirt back on and started walking to the door. Now, if you don't mind, I want to go home now with Asia. He let Asia out the door and he quickly followed, slamming the door behind him. The next morning Issei woke up with Asia next to him, using his chest as a pillow. He stared at her for a few minutes thinking about how cute she is. When he looked at his clock to see what time it was. It was only 7 a.m., so he still had time, so he let Asia sleep for a little longer. When it was about 7:20 he gently rubbed Asia's head, telling her it was time for school. She looked up and around for a few moments, then she finally got up and went into the bathroom. He then took that opportunity to get dressed in his bedroom. He wore the school uniform. A white button-up shirt and black pants. When he got dressed, he walked downstairs to make breakfast for him and Asia. When he got downstairs he made a simple breakfast of bacon, eggs and toast. When Asia finally got done in the bathroom, they shared the meal together. Issei, did you forget to pray over the meal? Asia asked impatiently. That's right, Asia is a huge believer in God. It's good that she has someone to pray to, and to do things that Christians like her do. But Issei was not a believer in God, he felt like he didn't need that kind of stuff. But for Asia he would do anything. So he bowed his head and listened to Asia pray to God. After breakfast was over, Issei went into the bathroom to comb his wild hair and brush his teeth. After all the house things were done, he and Asia went off for school. I feel like this is going to be a better day than yesterday, Issei, now that they know who you are. Asia said with a smile. After school, it was a long day for Issei. He was lectured in all his classes about different things, boring things. He was walking to Asia's class to pick her up when she was stopped by Kaneko. Rias sent me to tell you that she was very sorry about what happened last night, and to make it up she invited you and Asia to go shopping with her in Akino. She said without any kind of facial expression. We would love to go shopping with you guys, said Asia as she sneaked up behind Issei. Now wait just a second Asia, we can't just go willy-nilly when dealing with devils, we have to think about it. Issei said so only Asia could hear him. Issei, I think that we should give them a chance, they said they were sorry. So we should give them another chance. Asia said back to Issei. Well, I guess we could, tell them to meet us there. Issei said to Kaneko. Issei and Asia said goodbye to Kaneko and walked home. Do you really want to go shopping with them? You are usually shy around new people. Issei asked Asia. Well, I want to become brave just like Issei, so I thought I would start now, at this new school, said Asia smiling at Issei. When Issei and Asia got home, they took off their school uniforms and put on casual clothes. Issei was wearing a black t-shirt and jeans, while Asia was wearing a white shirt with a cat on it and jeans. They set off for the mall. Asia was looking nervous but excited at the same time, while Issei was just curious to what they wanted. When they got to the mall, Issei looked at Asia with a concerned look and told her, don't try to act too friendly with them. They still are devils, and are not to be trusted. I know you're trying to be braver but let me handle most of the talking, is that okay? Asia nodded and they kept walking. When they got inside the mall they found Rias and Akino waiting for them by a little cafe. They were talking and drinking tea. Well, it's a surprise that you actually showed up. We were planning on going shopping anyways so we thought we would invite you too. As in I'm sorry, but we were beginning to think you were not going to come. Well, I needed to take Asia out and have some fun anyways, so I thought maybe this would be a good time. Issei said, rubbing the back of his head. Rias and Akino nodded and asked them to sit down. Rias bought them tea and they began talking. Asia, I wanted to say that I'm sorry for what I did yesterday. It was completely wrong of me and I am at fault. Rias said to Asia. It's fine Rias, I'm just glad no one got too hurt. She said thinking about Kiba. Well, Issei and Asia. Let's try to get along today and have fun while we're here. Rias said with a happy smile. They finished their tea and began walking among the various stores. They first went to a clothing store. Asia ran in and began shopping, looking at various articles of clothing. Issei then turned to look at the Devil Sisters, and they too were looking at clothes. Well, I guess this is what it's like talking. Girls shopping, Issei though as he went to the men's section. 30 minutes later, after Asia, Rias, Akano, and Issei got done shopping at the clothing store, they went to other smaller shops, such as a few music stores and a computer repair store. Not to mention the adult store that they went past. When Asia saw Issei looking at that place she got mad and punched Issei on his arm. After about an hour of shopping, they all went to another cafe and got dinner. They talked about their school life and some of the upcoming events at the school. Issei was starting to daze off when he heard screams coming from a nearby store. And a loud bang. Issei stood up and started running towards the store. When he got to the entrance of the store, he saw 3 men with guns. They were robbing the store. There was a very scared cashier putting all the money inside of a plastic bag. The robbers turned to look at Issei. They pointed a gun at him. You better get the hell out of here before I put some lead into you. The robber said while smiling, but Issei did not move a muscle. Fine, I warned you. He then shot the gun at Issei, who then sidestepped easily out of the bullet's way. He then turned ran to the first robber and punched him in the face. Wait, boss, isn't that the Red Dragon kid? One of the robbers said to another. The biggest guy looked up and saw that it was, indeed, him. Yay, you're right. A simple gun won't be much use anymore, he said as he threw the gun on the floor, and they all took of their jackets, revealing their fallen angel wings. You know, we were sent here to find you. So we had to get your attention somehow, so we make this place the bait as we knew you would try to help this poor lady. They took the cashier lady and picked her up. She looked like her Yes, were about to pop out of her head when she saw the wings. Put her down, Issei said quietly. Sorry, what was that? You want me to hurt her? Is that what you said? Okay, you're the one who said it. He then put a light spear up to her neck, then started drawing blood. Something snapped inside of Issei and he was in front of the fallen angel in a flash. Replacing the cashier, he punched the fallen angel in the gut which made him bend over a bit. This gave Issei time to fly back and summon his boosted gear. Boost. He could feel the power growing inside of him as he borrowed some of the dragon's power when he boosted. You little bastard. Kill him. Kill him. The leader shouted. The 2 fallen angels behind him sprang into action, trying to land a punch on Issei, but Issei was easily avoiding the swings with side steps. He then flew back and started gathering power. Boost. When Issei was satisfied with the amount of power he had, he charged at the 2 fallen angels. Touching both of them on the shoulder. Transfer. All he had to do was touch them and they fell on their knees, screaming in pain. What the hell was that? The leader angel asked. Well, all I had to do was to ch them and transfer a bit of power to them. Their bodies can't take that much power, so they are trying to figure out how to get rid of it, resulting in some hardcore pain. Issei said as it was nothing. Well, let's see what you do when I hurt someone you actually care about. He then flew over to where Asia and the 2 devil sisters were taking civilians and took Asia. They were now hovering about 20 feet in the air, with her dangling by her leg. You make another move and I will drop her, he said while holding her by her ankle. Crap, what do I do? Let me handle this, Diedrag said inside of Issei's mind. Before you make the greatest mistake of your life and drop that girl, what is your name? Diedrag said out loud so everyone could hear him. Me. Oh, I'm only the leader of the first Enoch. A high-ranking fallen angel group. I alone am far more powerful than your little boosted gear toy, he said while smiling. Ready to sync, partner? Diedrag said. Absolutely, Issei said to Diedrag. Full sync activated. Issei now had the power of the red dragon running through his body. Issei looked at the last fallen angel and flew at him at the speed of light, punching him in the jaw. He then let go of Asia to hold his newly broken jaw. Asia was falling through the sky when Issei jumped to catch her. He then carried her bridal style and dropped her gently on the ground. Asia, go with Rias and stay away from here. I will meet you at the old school house. Issei said. Asia nodded and ran to Rias and Akino, then they grew their devil wings and flew out of the mall to the school grounds. Issei then looked at the fallen angel, he was pissed. Issei used the power of Didrag to the best of his abilities. Dragon shot. Issei then gathered a mass of dragon energy and punched it so it would fly to the fallen angel. When the shout made impact, there was nothing left in the sky. Instead, he was shot to the ground, moaning in pain as he could no longer talk properly. Issei then led him up by his collar and looked him dead in the eye. Don't ever let me see you again, or else you will be destroyed. He then made a teleport circle on the ground and threw him into it. The place that he sent him was unknown. But it was somewhere in hell, where he belonged. At the old school house. Asia, Rias, and Akino were waiting patiently for Issei to get back. They were sitting on the couches drinking tea. Worrying about Issei. He was going against the leader of the first Enoch, which was no joke, Issei could die. When Issei finally arrived at the schoolhouse, he was tackled by Asia. She kept hugging him, asking if he was okay. When Asia made sure that Issei was okay, they both sat down and looked at Rias and Akino. That was incredible, Issei, I've never seen anything quite like that. What did you do? Something called a full sync. Rias asked. Well, when it was just Asia and I, we needed something to enhance my powers, so we came up with the idea of full sync. When I use that, I and Didrag's soul merge, enabling me to be able to use his power to its full extent without having to go into balance breaker mode. Issei explained to Rias and Akino. That's truly incredible, I would have never thought of that. But won't your body try to reject the power of a great dragon such as your? Akino suddenly asked. Well, I have what you call an adaptive body, meaning that I can talk and other sorts of powers without too much of a risk, which is why I can carry this. He then stood up and activated his boosted gear. Power up. Ascalon. Then, the blade of a sword came out of Issei's boosted gear. Rias and Akino looked at the blade with wonder. What is that blade? Rias and Akino asked. It's the blade of Ascalon, the dragon slayer. I got it after helping some angels fight the fallen angels. They were in a really tight spot, so I helped them out, and this was my reward. Issei then returned the blade and turned off his boosted gear. Well, I did have fun for most of the day, but I think that it's time to go home. Okay, Asia, Issei said. At Issei's house. When they got home, Asia ran ahead of him and stood on the doorstep and looked at Issei with determination. I want to thank you for today, Issei. For buying things and saving me, I really could not ask for a better friend. So tonight, I'm going to make you relax for once and we can just sit around and watch movies together. Asia said with a big smile. So go upstairs and change out of those dirty clothes and come back downstairs. They finally went inside to Issei's house, and just as Asia told him, Issei went upstairs to his room and took off his torn and dirt-stained clothes and replaced them with some pajamas. You know she likes you, right? Yes, I realize that, but how should I do about it? I've never gotten too close to a girl before. Not to mention have one like me. Just try to be yourself, try not to screw this up, okay? I'll try, but this is my first T-wit ever. Good night, Didrag. Issei then opened his bedroom door and went downstairs. He found Asia sitting on the floor, looking at different movies that they could watch. Then, he and Asia could hear a timer go off in the kitchen. Sia then took off to go retrieve whatever was cooking there. She returned with a bowl of buttered popcorn. She set it down on the table and continued looking at movies. You know, Asia, you don't have to go to all this trouble. Asia jumped at the sound of his voice. She didn't even notice that he was there watching her. No, Issei, I want this to be a good date. She stopped mid-sentence realizing she was going to say date. Which she would like to think it was. I want this to be a relaxing, movie-filled night. We don't even have to go to school tomorrow. Asia said looking excited. Okay, just as long as you don't push yourself too hard to make this a good night, I'll go get some drinks. Issei said as he wandered into the kitchen. He then returned with 2 drinks in his hand. He found Issei sitting on the couch with a big blanket wrapped around her. She then threw the blanket so Issei could get under it too. When he was walking to the couch, He set the drinks down and said, "I got to go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back." When Issei was walking down the hallway after he got done using the bathroom, he noticed that the air conditioner was turned on. So that's why it's so cold in this house. Issei figured it was Asia's attempt at making Issei wanting to sit under the blanket with her, because it was so cold. Issei couldn't help but smile at the though. When Issei returned to the couch, Asia had the remote in her hand and was snuggled under the large blanket waiting for Issei to sit next to her. When Issei sat down, Asia threw the blanket over him and cuddled with him, leaning against him. They were watching a horror movie, perfect for Asia to get scared and hug Issei. "Man, she's pulling out all the guns tonight. She seems to be really into you, partner. Pay. Raps, you should do something to thank her. Like what, Ddrag? If I try to move a muscle on my own, Asia will get mad. Are you really that clueless? She really likes you, Issei. Just kiss her already." "Fine, fine, I will. When the moment is right, I will kiss her." Issei then turned his attention to Asia, who was still watching the movie. She seemed to be really into it. But then there was a Mons. Terror something that popped out of the corner in the movie, and Asia jumped and buried her head in my shirt. I lifted my hand to pat her head and comfort her, but she lifted her face to mine and our lips were connected. Shocked that my little Asia would do something so brave such as that, I returned the favor and kissed her back. When we parted lips, she looked at me with her beautiful green eyes, waiting for me to speak. Asia, I lick. Issei, I love you." Asia suddenly screamed and tackled me to the floor. She was on top of me, leaning her head against my chest. "Please never leave me. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't with you." Asia whispered in my ear. "Asia, as long as I live, you will always be safe, I can guarantee you that. I would never leave you for a million years. You are my only friend and family." Asia had tears in her eyes. She leaned down and rested her head on my chest. "It looks like we are sleeping here tonight. I don't care though, as long as I have Asia, I'm comfy anywhere." "You did well, partner. I can tell she is very happy." They both laid their heads down and fell asleep. I woke up on the floor. Asia is still laying on my chest. She was so light and tiny, it was fine that she was there. I could hardly feel her. He picked his head up and looked around the room. There was no clock in that room, so he had no idea what time it was, but the sun was shining through the windows. So that gave him an idea of what time it was. Issei laid his head back down on the pillow he was resting his head on and thought about the events of last night. He had his first kiss last night. It was hard to believe that a loser like him would have his first kiss with such a beautiful girl. He looked at Asia, still sleeping peacefully on his chest, wondering if that was her first kiss too. It probably was, since she doesn't leave my side ever. He then picked Asia up and set her gently on the couch, covering her up as the air conditioner was left on all night last night. It was freezing in his house. The first thing Issei did was run upstairs to the thermostat and turned the air conditioner off, and the heat on low. He then started cleaning the living room where they had their date night last night. Date night, huh? It feels weird to say that. I never thought that I would actually have a date night. Well, she looked happy last night, so at least you did that right. Thank you, Ddrag. Now what should I do now? You said that you were partnered with a harem king at one point. There had to be situations like this there, right? Actually, no. Because he knew what he was doing instead of asking a dragon for dating advice. Alright, whatever, I guess I'll just let her sleep for a while. I'll go make some breakfast. Issei then walked into the kitchen. He picked out what they were going to have for breakfast, bacon and pancakes. When he was cooking the bacon, he heard Asia yawn in the other room. Asia must have woken up. Asia then looked around and got up and walked to the kitchen, smelling the bacon. Good morning, Issei. Asia said while smiling at Issei. Good morning, Asia, would you like breakfast? Issei asked, pointing at the plate of pancakes and the cooked bacon. After breakfast was eaten, Asia went into the bathroom to get ready for the day while Issei just sat on the couch, thinking about the attack at the mall yesterday. They are starting to get braver. Attacking me in a place with two devils, either that or they are getting more stupid. Issei thought, yesterday's battle was nothing abnormal, fallen angels have been attacking him for years now. Asia then came down the stairs wearing a simple gray t-shirt and jeans. Issei broke his chain of thoughts and stood up to greet Asia and tell her she looked good. Well, Issei, what should we do on our day off of school? Asia asked. Well, they just put in that new amusement park not too far from here, would you like to go there? That sounds wonderful, Issei. I will go pack a lunch. Asia said as she went into the kitchen. After they packed a lunch and locked up the house, they left to go enjoy the day. Evening back at Issei's house. Asia and Issei had a great day at the park. She got to ride a few rides and play some games, and she even won a stuffed animal. Issei, I had the best day ever today. This place is truly awesome, I never want to leave. Asia said excitedly. They put the picnic basket that they used for lunch away and Asia went to put the stuffed animal in her room. When they both got done putting stuff away, Asia tugged at Issei's shirt and asked, Issei, do you want to go see Rias and her club? Today, why would you want to see them? Issei asked. Well, even though they are devils, they seem nice, I know you're still mad at them for what they did. But I can see it in their hearts that they are really nice. Okay, if you want to go there, we can, but if they try anything else, I will make them pay for it. Issei said with an upset look on his face. At the old schoolhouse building. Well, this is unexpected, guys, we have visitors. Rias said to her servants as she saw Issei and Asia walk up to the schoolhouse door. She walked to the door to let them in and warmly greeted them. Welcome Issei and Asia, what bring you here? Rias said as she led them to the center of the room. Asia wanted to come see you guys. Issei said. Oh, well, that's wonderful. It's been a long time since anyone has wanted to come here on their own and chat. Rias said. 30 minutes later. After some chatting about different things, Rias stood up and walked over to Issei and said, Issei, thank you very much for saving those people the other day. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to save those people. Oh, it's nothing, I just don't like seeing someone bigger picking on smaller people, you know. Issei said to Rias. Yes, and while they won't remember it, I do, so I want to thank you. Would you like to go to dinner Saturday night? Asked Rias while blushing. I think I've gotten enough thanks, I think I'm good, but thank you. Said Issei, smiling nervously. Well, that's just a shame, I guess I'll just go tea. Rias got interrupted when a large red teleport circle appeared on the floor. Issei and Rias stood back as there was flames coming out of the man that just teleported into the room. Everyone looked to see who it was. Curious to see who this man was, but Rias and Issei knew who it was, and neither of them liked him. When the flames died down, a tall man with golden hair stood in the middle of the room. Well, if it isn't the Grimoire servants, now, where is your master? Asked the tall man. I'm right here, Riser. Said Rias as she grabbed his shoulder, clearly angry. Well, if it isn't my beautiful bride. You are looking rather ravishing today. Said Riser. Everyone looked at Riser and Rias, be bride. Everyone said. Yes, well, it seems that Rias has been keeping secrets from you. Yes, I and Rias are getting married. Said Riser with a grin on his face. I told you, we are not getting married. This is the final time that I tell you, now get out before I force you out. Rias said while letting out lots of power and aura. Always as feisty as usual, and yes, we are getting married, it's your only choice, or do you want the Grimoire name to die? Riser said as he noticed Issei standing in the corner. Well, if it isn't Issei Hyodo, it has been a while, hasn't it? Riser said while pushing Rias out of the way to get to Issei. Don't say my name so lightly, you prick, I still haven't forgotten what you did. And I never will, said Issei with his head down, not showing his face to Riser. Well, after what you did, I think that it was a fair trade of lives. But anyways, I have more important things to attend to. Rias dear, would you please come with me so that we can get you fit for your wedding dress? Fair trade of lives, huh? I don't think that they deserved what you gave them, Riser, so now I will return the favor. Issei said while summoning his boosted gear. Boost. You are the little fighter that your parents raised, aren't you? I guess it's time to knock you down a few sizes. The tattoos on Issei's body suddenly starting glowing and they disappeared. Oh no, not again, thought Asia, as this only happened one other time. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. Issei's body then started transforming into a dragon-like body, but human at the same time. Armor-like skin started forming around his body, creating a suit of dragon armor on him. He also had more gems around his body. Let's settle this once and for all, Riser. This will not be necessary, Issei and Riser, said a lady that appeared out of a white teleport circle. The lady that appeared. Ed had white hair and a maid's outfit on. Lady, if you don't want to die, I would move if I were you, said Issei, still in balance breaker, waiting for her to move so he could strike Riser. Red Dragon Emperor, would you please help me out? Asked the lady. Yes, Lady Graphia, responded Ddraig, who then disabled Issei's balance breaker armor. Ddraig, what the hell? We were about to get back at Riser, shouted Issei to his dragon. Issei, as much as I want to get back at him, Lady Graphia has something important to say, and I guarantee you will want to hear it, responded Ddraig. Issei then sat down next to Asia, clutching her hand, across from Riser. Now, Searsex knew that Rias and Riser would get into a fight about the arrangement. So he decided to have a plan too, a rating game. Riser versus Rias. Whoever wins will win a prize of their choice, explained Graphia. A rating game, huh? I accept the offer, my prize will be the hand of Rias Grimoire, said Riser. I accept also, my prize will be the opportunity to marry who I wish, Rias said to Graphia. Well, looks like I will be marrying Rias after all, after I win of course, said Riser confidently. We will definitely win, Riser. Then I never want to see your face again, Rias said to Riser. Oh yay, you and what army? While you only have 4 active players, I have a full set. Riser then summoned his peerage to his side. A full chess set. Actually, she has 5 players, the newest one is the Red Dragon Emperor. Issei then spoke up to everyone. But you aren't even a devil, so you can't compete in a rating game, said Riser. Well then, I guess we will just have to fix that, won't we? Asked Issei. Whatever, I got to go take a bath now that you all have made me so dirty, goodbye, my wife, Riser said, then disappearing with a ton of flames. Rias, since this is your first rating game, we will give you 7 days to prepare for it, use your time wisely, said Graphia. She too disappeared in a teleport circle. Rias turned around. She had a look of fear in her eyes. I don't know what to say, this is my first rating game, said Rias. Well, I meant what I said, Rias, I want to join your household, said Issei. Issei, are you sure? It would mean that you would become my servant, and you would have to become a devil forever, Rias said. Yes, I'm absolute sure, I'm already the Red Dragon Emperor, so what's a thing like becoming a devil going to do? 15 minutes later. The room was silent as Rias took out 8 pawn pieces and placed them on Issei's bare chest. I order you, Issei Hyodo, to rise up in the underworld, RLD, and become a servant of the Grimoire household, yelled Rias as the chess pieces began to sink into Issei's body. There, you are now a full-fledged demon under the name of Grimoire, said Rias. Congratulations Issei, you are now one of us, said Akano. Wow, you're one of us now, that's awesome Issei, Kiba said. Everyone started congratulating me on becoming a devil, I guess I am really one of them now. I want to become one too Rias. Just like Issei, Asia said to Rias. Asia, I am becoming one for my own purposes, that doesn't mean that you have to become one too, Issei told Asia. I know, it's just that we promised that we would follow each other until the very end, you and I said that. Asia had some tears in her eyes. I knew that too, I just wanted to protect her faith because she depends on it so much. I don't want you losing your faith in God Asia, he means so much to you, and I don't want that taken away from you. It's true that I love God, but I love you more Issei, I will follow you until the very end. Just like we promised, Asia said while crying. I guess it's your choice, Asia, I want you to think about this though. She nodded, understanding what Issei was saying. She would think about it. All right, Asia said that she will think about it. Now, what next? Issei declared to everyone. Now, we plan for a training camp, and I have the best place, it's a secluded area in the Grimoire territory, said Rias, pulling out a map. It's right about here. She pointed towards an area of woods. We will head out there tomorrow morning to use all the time we can, so I want everyone to go home and go right to bed. I want everyone here at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, Rias said. Yes, Rias, everyone said before heading out. At Issei and Asia's house. When Issei and Asia returned home, They immediately went to bed, not wanting to be late for their first day of training camp. When Asia and Issei went to bed, Issei turned to Asia and said, "Asia, if you want to become a devil, then that's fine. But I want you to wait and think for at least 3 days. If you still want to become a devil, then that's fine, I just don't want you to throw away your faith of God." Issei said to Asia when they laid down in bed. "Okay Issei, Rias said that I could accompany you guys to training in the woods." Asia said. "Good night, Issei," Asia said before closing her eyes. "Good night, Asia." The next day, Asia and Issei woke up and did their morning activities and then headed to the old schoolhouse building. Today was Saturday, so there were no other staff or students at the school. When they got there, everyone else was there talking about the schedule for training. For half of the time there, we are going under physical training, such as lifting, running, and sparring. Then, for the remaining time we will undergo magic training with Akeno. I figured that I had nothing to worry about. I probably won't do much training as I already am more powerful than the other servants. "Issei, come here please," Rias said leading into the corner of the room. "So Issei, I know you're the newest member here, but could you help train the others with me and Akeno? You're the Red Dragon Emperor. You know fighting techniques that even I don't. Will you?" Rias asked. I guess so. I will help train under one condition. If Asia wants to help fight with us by becoming a devil, then I want you to protect her no matter what. I don't care if you have to choose between me and her. I want you to choose her, understood?" Issei said with a serious face. "I understand, I will protect her with my life," Rias promised Issei. "Good, now, do you want to start heading out?" Issei asked so that everyone could hear. "Yes, everyone, let's start heading out. Kiba, Kaneko and Issei, would you be nice and carry everyone's bags?" Rias asked the three, because they are men and Rook, it would only be polite for them to carry everyone's bags. 3 hours later, the Grimoire team were hiking their way to the training area. Issei and Kaneko were carrying their bags just fine, but Kiba was having some troubles. He was not as strong and has less stamina than Issei, while Kaneko was a Rook, so she had the power of 20 strong full-grown men. "Kiba, do you want me to carry some of your bags?" "I'm sure I could boost so I could carry your bags." "Sure Issei, here you go, thank you so much." "Sweet. This would be a time to show everyone what will be training them this week, ready Ddrag?" "Yes partner, show them what they are up against." Issei summoned his boosted gear, putting down his bags. Everyone noticed that Issei had summoned his boosted gear and put down his bags. What was he up to? "Boost. Everyone, I want to give you a demonstration of who will be training you this week," Issei announced. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. The same armor as before starts surrounding Issei's body. When he was completely in Balance Breaker form, he picked up his, Kiba's, and Kaneko's bags and threw them over his shoulder. He then grew his dragon wings and started flying, with all that luggage on his back. Then he suddenly started darting towards Asia. He swooped down and picked her up, flying with her in his arms. "Wow Issei. I'm glad that I asked about you helping train." Rias yelled to Issei. "Issei is going to help train us," Kiba said, stuttering after seeing this kind of power thrown around casually. "Don't worry Kiba, I won't use Balance Breaker too much this week. But just enough to keep you motivated," Issei yelled back to Kiba. Issei then started to descend back to the ground, Asia and luggage in tow. "But Issei, are you sure that you should use your Balance Breaker so casual?" Rias said, worried about her new servant. "It's really fine, we calculated that Issei can stay in Balance Breaker for 3 months before he would lose his power to use it," Asia said back to Issei. "Wow, that really is impressive. Now, let's continue walking," Rias said. "At the training grounds. Now we are finally here," Rias said. Issei then deactivated his Balance Breaker and had Kiba and Kaneko help him carry the bags inside. After all the bags were put away and everyone was in the dining hall, Issei said, "Now everyone. I know how to kick off this training camp. I want everyone to get ready to fight me versus all of you. I want to find out what we need to work on." Outside. Everyone was gathered outside. Even Rias and Akeno were going to be tested. "Now, everyone, get ready. I will be holding back because I don't want to hurt any of you. So Asia, can you place 5 out of my 10 seals on, please?" Issei asked Asia. Asia then walked over to Issei, who took off his shirt and started placing some seals on Issei's body, concealing half of his power. All the girls were staring at his now half-naked body. And by the end of the process, it looked as if Akeno were drooling. "Oh, okay everyone, you can stop looking at Issei now," Asia said, worried that the girls were trying to flirt with Issei. "Now, let's get started. Ready Ddrag?" "Ready as always, partner." Full sync activated. Issei's body then turned a shade of red as if scales were about to form on his body, then his hair lifted up and a streak of yellow ran through his hair. Kiba was the first to strike. Using a sword he was swinging at Issei, but Issei was easily dodging his attacks. Then came Akeno, she was shooting lightning at Issei. Along with Kiba attacking him, it was hard to dodge their attacks. Then he summoned his boosted gear. Boost. He then started to fight back against Kiba, while trying to dodge Akeno's attacks. When Kiba took another swing at Issei's body, he turned and grabbed the sword, then with a flick of his wrist, he disarmed Kiba and sent him flying. Then he grew his demon wings and started going after Akeno. When Kaneko jumped and grabbed Issei by the shirt and pulled him down, she then began punching him repeatedly in the face. Boost. Issei grabbed her fist before she couldn't hit him anymore and started swinging her by her arm. He then let go and threw her into some bushes. "Well, it looks like it's my turn to have some fun," Rias said while joining in on the action. Two demon sisters then flew into the air and started gathering power together. "Alright, this is bad. If I don't do something then I'm screwed. Partner, did you forget about the new technique that we have been working on?" Ddrag said. "Oh yay, let's try it out here." Issei then rocketed into the sky and looked at Rias and Akeno. Boost. Issei was ready to try out the new move, but they were trying to stall. For what? He could see that they were gaining more and more power, but that was it, they could easily take him out if they wanted to. Now, they then shot out their demonic powers and they were coming in fast. Issei had little time to react. He opened his arms, almost like he was trying to get hit. When the powers hit Issei, the girls thought that they won, but then they could hear Issei's dragon yell. Force transfer. The two powers were absorbed into Issei's body. Issei looked around, he thought that it worked, but then he started falling to the ground. Thud. When Issei hit the ground, Asia rushed to his side and started using Twilight Healing. "Why isn't Twilight Healing working?" Asia asked Rias. "Asia Argento, this is not a physical wound," Issei tried to take in all that power and turn it against the two devils, but it was too much for his physical body to handle, so his body got overworked and shut down. Asia nodded to what the dragon had to say, even though the dragon was a part of Issei. They had two different souls, meaning that she could talk to Ddrag even when Issei is like this. When Issei woke up, it was already night time. Issei sat up and realized that he was in a bed with Asia. She looked up at Issei and tackled him back down onto the bed. "Issei, I was so worried, you hadn't woken up, so I stayed with you the whole day. I was afraid that you would wake up and not have anyone to talk to, so I laid next to you in the hopes that you would wake up soon." Issei leaned and kissed Asia. They both had their eyes closed, trying to savor the moment. When they releases from the kiss, Issei smiled and said, "Thank you so much Asia, that really means the world to me that you would do that." Asia had tears in her eyes when Issei looked over at the clock. It was only 7 p.m. "Where are the others?" Issei asked. "They are downstairs eating. They asked me if I wanted to come down and eat with them, but I said no." Asia replied. "Well then, let's go down and eat with them. I'm sure that they are worried about you," Issei said as he got up. When they got downstairs, Rias got up and ran to hug Issei. Issei was shocked that she would do something like this. "Issei, I'm so sorry. I thought that you would be able to withstand the power, but then you tried take it all in, and I'm so sorry, you could have gotten hurt, I wasn't thinking straight." And Rias got cut of when Issei put a finger over her mouth and told her to stop talking. "Rias, it's fine, I should have known that I would not be able to take in all that power at once. But look at me now. I'm perfectly fine thanks to Asia." He put his arm around Asia, who was standing behind him, and pulled her out beside him. "Anyways, I'm starving, let's dig in," Issei said as they all went to go sit down and eat. Issei woke up with Asia at his side, using his arm as a pillow. He looked around and remembered that he was at the training camp with the Grimoire group. He pulled his arm off. I from Asia and pulled a pillow under her head to let her sleep some more. After that Issei went down the stairs to the kitchen where Rias and Kaneko were sitting, enjoying some breakfast. Well Issei, early bird, aren't we? Rias said with a grin. He looked at the clock and saw it was only 5 a.m. Wow, well it's a good thing that I let Asia sleep then. What is out planned for today? Issei asked. Well, that's up to you I guess. Seeming how you took over training yesterday I think that it's fit to let you run the show. Anyways, I've got some rating games studying to do, see you guys later. Rias ate as she walked down the hall to her room and shut the door. Well then, that's unexpected, leaving training on the new guy. I guess it's alright though, you're the Red Dragon Emperor after all. Said Kaneko. I guess you're right, I just didn't expect she would trust me that much, that's all. Issei just blew it off, she is probably just trying to show that she is sorry about yesterday's events by trusting him. When it turned 8 a.m., Kiba and Akino came from their rooms and joined Issei and Kaneko in the kitchen. They must have set their alarms at the same time. Outside, everyone was awake and outside ready to start training. Alright everyone, let's all get started training. Akino and I will be your trainers. Let's try not to hurt ourselves any more than we have to, and don't overwork yourself. Akino and I will take one person each and train them individually. Depending on how you did yesterday will depend on what you work on today. Said Issei. They decided to train Kiba first. We're going to work on his agility and stamina. Now Kiba, your evil piece's knight, is that correct? Issei asked. Kiba just nodded his head. Now, your traits are ultimate speed and agility. You have to learn to use these to the fullest. So today we will work on raising your agility and stamina. Issei said. Okay, that sounds good, now how are we going to do that exactly? Kiba asked. Well, I'm glad you asked. Issei said with a smile on his face. He then summoned his boosted gear. Summon. Dragon Slayer, Ascalon. A sword then slid out of Issei's boosted gear, it's emitting a duller aura than before. Don't worry. I'll take it easy on you, I had Asia put another seal on this sword to make it so if I hit you it won't kill you, it will hurt a lot. Though, Issei said as he started swinging at Kiba. Kiba took his sword and started blocking his attacks. At first Issei thought that Kiba was doing just fine, but then he started getting tired and his moves were getting messier. It was getting harder and harder for Kiba to block his attacks, but this is exactly what Issei meant. Kiba needed to get so that he could fight off an opponent, no matter how hard his or her attacks are. After about 3 hours of training, Issei let Kiba take a break. Issei was tired too, but all he needed was to boost and his stamina and power returned to his body. This was all thanks to the dragon living inside Issei. Alright, next is Kaneko. He found Akino and Kaneko training in the woods, they were working on their demonic powers. Hello Issei, Kaneko and I were just finishing up. Said Akino when Issei approached the two. Well that's good. Kaneko, do you want to start training with me now, or do you want to wait? Issei asked Kaneko. I'm good to start now, just let me get some water. She said as she started to the house. It seems that you are doing a good job Issei, even though you just became a devil, you sure are a great help to us already. Said Akino. Well, I just want us to win this rating game. And to kick Riser Douche's butt. Issei said, it was obvious that he was angry just at the mention of his name. What did Riser do to make you so angry Issei? Akino asked, I don't really want to talk about it. Issei said darkly. Oh, okay. Here comes Kiba. Akino said to break the tension between them. Kiba walked up to them and leaned against a tree, waiting for Issei to say something. Alright Kiba, I'm handing you to Akino, good job on training today. Issei said as he walked away to go find Kaneko. He found Kaneko punching a punching bag, she was really having a heyday on that thing. There were holes where sand is pouring out of the bag. Alright Kaneko, your evil piece is rook right. Issei asked. Kaneko just nodded her head, not saying anything. Well, then that means that your ability is strength. And that is evident in the time that you took to beat my face in yesterday. Remembering how she had punched out a tooth yesterday. But thanks to Asia got it back. But your reflexes need work. I was able to easily grab your arm and throw you off me yesterday, that's what you will need to work on. I have something in mind to help you with that. Then he pulled a paintball gun out of a bag and held it in his hand. Now, let's make this thing a little better. Issei said while summoning his boosted gear. Boost. He held the paintball gun in his left hand. Transfer. The paintball gun now was red. And bigger. It no longer needed a gas tank, it fed off of Issei's given power. Now, try to dodge these, he said as he started firing the paintball gun at Kaneko. If you get hit, then that means no more snacks for you for the whole day. Issei said, still shooting the paintball gun. This gave her some motivation. She loved snacking on different stuff. I don't know how she holds all that junk food in her small body. Kaneko dodged the paintballs, but then Issei took it a step further and started taking swings at her with his right arm. They started running through the forest. Issei is hot on Kaneko's tail, still trying to shoot her and taking a shot at her when they were up close. After another 3 hours, Issei and Kaneko were done training. Kaneko was upset because she had been hit twice with a paintball, which was evident with the paint splattered on her training uniform. They all went in and found that Asia had dinner ready. She had spent the day training by herself. Cooking and cleaning. Asia, what kind of training did you do during the day? Kiba asked when they sat down to eat. Well, Issei gave me some things to work on my twilight healing, so I just focused on that today. Asia replied to Kiba. By the way, have you seen Rias at all today? Akino asked. Actually, I saw her just about 20 minutes ago. She went outside to get own fresh air after studying things about the rating games all day. Well, I guess I'll go give her a report on today. You guys ahead and start eating. Issei said. Okay Issei, but come back soon, we want to talk with you too. Asia said. Issei went outside to the back porch and found Rias staring at the sky. He went behind her and touched her shoulder, making her jump. She did not know he was coming up to her. Oh, hello Issei. Did training go good today? Rias asked. I think that it went great. Issei then gave a full report of today's events. Wow, you really pushed them today, I'm glad that you could do this for them. I'm sorry that I just pushed this on you. Rias said. No, it's really fine, I'm glad I got to help you guys, they seem like really nice people. Issei said with a smile. They sat there, staring at the sky for a few minutes when Rias said, you know, I talked to your dragon while you were asleep. Did you really? What did he have to say about me? Issei wondered. Oh, I just asked him about that move. He said that you were working on it and wanted to try it out. But then he said that power was too much for your soul, trying to take it all in at the same time, he sighed. It overworked your senses and your body gave out. Rias explained. Yay, I've tried it on some lesser things, and it turned out fine, but I wasn't strong enough to take in power from two high-class devils such as Akino and yourself. My soul just could not take it I guess. Well, your dragon also said something along the lines of, you can trust this kid, he is one of the kindest hosts I've ever had. So that's why I decided to trust you with training. Rias said. Issei was surprised to hear a dragon say something like that about him. Sure he was kind to Asia, but was he really that kind to everyone else? Well, I guess that we should head in before someone else comes looking for us. Rias said while getting up and taking Issei by the hand and leading him down the hall to the kitchen. They got to the table. Issei sat next to Asia, and Rias next to Akino. After they all got done with dinner, they all headed to bed. They knew that they all had a long week ahead of them. 5 days later. It has already been 5 days. We were packing up to head home. Kiba and Kaneko's skills have drastically increased during their training. They have done all they could to get better at fighting. Asia had been training too. At using her twilight healing, she could now heal people of their physical wounds from afar, and when she is closer, she can heal them even better and faster now. Rias was very proud of her servants that they could do so much work while she was away studying. When they arrived at the school, other students were leaving the school because they got there when school ended. Rias, what are we going to tell the teachers for being absent for the entire week? Issei asked when they got inside the old schoolhouse. We already explained to the principal that we got to go away for our occult research and he approved of it. Rias explained. When they got all their things put away, a white teleport circle appeared and Lady Graphia appeared from it. Hello Grimoire family. I am here to remind you that the rating game is tomorrow. Graphia said. Also that your brother will be watching, Rias. Rias was shocked at this. Well, That's okay because he will be able to see his sister win her first rating game. Rias said happily. That won't be very easy, the Phoenix clan has also taken their time to train some of their newest servants. Graphia said. Well, I have to go, duty calls. I will see you tomorrow at 5 a.m. to start the match. Then Graphia left. Well everyone, go home and get to bed. I will see you tomorrow bright and early. Rias said. At Issei and Asia house. By the time that the two reached their house, Asia got tired and climbed on Issei's back. She was asleep, laying her small head on his shoulder. He then opened the door and went straight to his room. He put Asia down and covered her up. She must have worked herself very hard if she is this tired. Yes partner, she has. I can feel a stronger power within her sacred gear than before. She truly is stronger than ever before. Issei got changed into pajamas and laid next to Asia, who was snoring softly. He was very lucky to have her in his life. She took care of him and he took care of her. Issei began to doze off. Thinking about kicking Riser's butt helped him sleep. He was excited about tomorrow. He would get his revenge. Issei woke up to an empty bed. Asia was not there next to Issei. Issei got up and looked around to see if Asia had gotten up, and it looks like she has. He could see her clothes from last night on floor. Issei got up and got dressed into a pair of jeans and a plain black t-shirt. He wanted to be as free to move as he could today. He opened his door and walked down the stairs to find Asia reading a book in the living room. Issei walked up to her and found her reading a book called 1Q84. Asia, what time did you wake up? Issei asked as Asia put the book down. I woke up about 4 a.m., and I could not get back to sleep because I am so nervous about today's battle. I also called Rias and asked her some questions about rating games. She said she was up all night. So she came over to talk to me while you were sleeping. Asia said quietly. Issei was surprised that he didn't wake up. If Rias came over, he would usually hear people come in from his room. While she was here I made my decision to also become a devil, just like Issei. She said with a small smile. She then stood up and grew her demon wings on her back. Wow Asia, I am glad that you did that and all, but do you think that you made the right choice? Issei asked. Yes Issei, I am sure. I love God a lot. But I love you even more Issei. Right now, you are my only friend and family. Asia said with a smile. Why you know Issei, I was thinking about our relationship, and I was hoping that we could, you know. Like become more than friends. Asia said very nervously. Did she really ask me that? I don't know what to say. Issei thought. Say yes. Say yes. Ddraig was chanting inside his head. Asia. They were looking into each other's eyes. Asia was very cute. Issei could not deny that. She was also his best friend. He wanted nothing more than to spend all of his time with her. He leaned and kissed her passionately, and when they parted lips, he leaned to her ear and whispered in her ear, I would love that. Asia. She looked into his eyes with amazement. She had happy tears in her eyes. I love you Asia. Issei said. I love you too, Issei. Asia said back. At the old school building. After the events of early in the morning had passed, Issei and Asia stew in the old school building with all of the other Grimoire servants. Alright everybody, let's get our game faces on. The game starts in just a few moments. Rias said, determined to win this game. Hen Lady Graphia teleported into the room. Alright everyone, let's step onto the circle and go to the arena. Graphia said. They did as they were told, all of them stepping into the circle. There was a great flash of white signaling that they had teleported, but when they all looked around, they were in the same room. "Da fuck," Issei said shrugging his shoulders. Lady Graphia made an announcement, "Hello teams. And welcome to the rating game. Now, you may be wondering where you are. Well you are in an exact replica of Kuo Academy." Graphia said. Now, each team has been supplied with a map of Kuo Academy, let the rating game begin. Graphia ended the announcement. Now, first things first, Riser is going to be on the offensive, to try to end this as fast as possible, so let's try to take advantage of him moving first. Kiba and Akano, I want you to go the forest area and set illusion and explosive traps, then come back here for more instructions. Rias ordered. Yes Rias. They both responded then running out the door. Kaneko and Issei, I want you two got to the football field right in between the old school building and the new one. That's where his base is, and I want you to make sure no one gets past you. Rias ordered. Yes ma'am, they both said and ran out the door. Then, Rias remembered what Issei said about Asia and gave her instructions. Asia, I want you to stay by my side at all times. Do not wander off and try to help anyone else without my instructions, understood? Yes Rias, Asia responded. At the football field, Issei and Kaneko both reached the football field. There were already 3 people standing in the middle. Well, what has the Grimoire family sent at us? A little girl and a HNSSSS some boy. Said the girl with red hair. I am Isabella, one of Riser's rooks. The girl with red hair said. Yay, I'm Yay, and I'm Nell, said 2 little girls. You, girl with white hair, you are also a rook. Then you will be my opponent. Isabella said as she jumped at Kaneko. Swinging at her. He, look what the cat dragged in Nell. Yay, we will have to chop him up so he don't try to attack our master anymore. The 2 girls were talking to him. Then they both pulled out chainsaw from behind their backs. Sacred gear, roaring motors. They both said and their chainsaws started glowing. Ha, you 2 got chainsaws as your sacred gears. That's actually kind of cool. But mine's better. Full sync activate. Issei's body started changing to the looks of a dragon. He started growing scales on his neck and arms, while his hair rise up and got a yellow streak through it. It also looks like his boosted gear had started forming into his skin. Well, this is new. Issei thought. Every time mine and you soul merge to create full sync. This technique gets stronger because our souls are adapting to each other. Huh, cool, now, let's kick their ass D-Drag. Then he looked back at the 2 kids, who were shaking their legs with fear. Then they started running at Issei with chainsaws slashing everywhere in the air. The first person who made contact was Ye. She tried to cut his face, which he simply blocked with his left arm. And then he took the kid by the leg and started to spin her, similar to what he did to Kaneko back at training camp. Issei threw her at the other twin, they both crashed to the ground. Now, let's finish this, Issei said with a smirk. Dragon shout. He then started yelling at the 2 girls, but he wasn't yelling, the dragon inside him was, screaming at them until they were thrown into the stands behind them. They tried to get up. But they just slumped over and laid there, then they disappeared. 2 of Riser's pawns retired. Graphia said. Issei then turned to look at Kaneko, who was winning the fight. She was punching her in the gut rapidly. She then turned and kicked her in the face and she was sent flying 20 feet behind her. She too disappeared. One of Riser's rooks retired. Happy WITH themselves they fist bump each other. But here comes someone else, another of Riser's players. She was flying at high speeds, right toward Kaneko. Issei jumped right in their path and blocked the new women's attack. Wow, impressive. You took out 3 of Riser's players and stopped my high-speed attack. Who are you boy? The lady with purple hair asked Issei. My name's Issei Hyodo, and I'm the Red Dragon Emperor. Issei responded. So you're the kid that Riser told us to be careful of, you sure are short for such a powerful person. My name is Yubeluna, also known as the Bomb Queen. She responded. Huh, I'm short you say. Well let's change that, Issei said. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. Issei's body yet again got surrounded by his red dragon armor. Boost. That sure is impressive. Now, let's get down to business you brat. She then threw a demonic bomb at Issei, but he just stood there and took the hit directly. He looked back at Kaneko and said, Kaneko, let me handle this one. Kaneko just nodded and took a few steps back. Boost. Issei then turned back to the queen. Yes, let's get serious. Then he rocketed his way to her, tackling her and dragging her through the sky at high speeds. When they were above the clouds where Kaneko could no longer see the 2, she heard them. Explosions and big booms, but she could also hear Issei's dragon voice. Then the sounds stopped and Kaneko looked up to see something shooting to the ground. It was the queen. When she hit the ground a huge explosion happened and when the dust cleared Kaneko could see a crater had been made by the impact. The queen sat up and dusted herself off and stood up. So that was not enough to keep you down, huh? Both the queen and Kaneko could hear Issei's voice boom from above the clouds. Boost. Kaneko could hear Issei boosting then he come shooting down right towards the queen. When he made impact, yet another explosion that was bigger than the first one happened, and the crater was even bigger. When the dust and dirt clear out of the air, there was no more queen. Kaneko, look, Issei said while holding a few glass shards. This belonged to a bottle containing phoenix tears, tea. That's how she was able to get up after landing. Issei explained. Then Kaneko made a small sound and fell. She had a blade in her back. Kaneko gave Issei one last look and then she disappeared. What? Issei was very confused when he saw Kaneko disappear. Hee, that girl had it coming to her too, said someone who was hiding behind the field goal. Hey, show yourself, Issei yelled out. Then a girl with dark blue hair came out and looked at Issei. Then suddenly, Graphia boomed over the intercom. 2 of Riser's rooks and 1 knight of Riser's has retired. Also, 1 of Rias's knights and 1 of her queens retired. Crap, Kiba and Akino got taken out. Well, it looks like it's just you, me, Grimoire, and Lord Riser. Nope, you are wrong, it's you, me, Rias, Lord Douche, and Asia. She looked surprised to hear that Rias got another member to her family. Well, anyways, they won't be here much longer because we are very close to winning anyways. She then darted forward, trying to attack Issei. He then ducked and kicked her feet out with a sweep of his legs. She fell to the ground. He kicked the sword away from her and flew back. Boost. Before she could get up, Issei already had something in mind. Dragon shot. A little ball of dragon and devil magic appeared before Issei. He then punched it to the girl, who had no time to react. The small ball hit her and made an explosion. On bigger than any of the Bomb Queen's explosions. 1 of Riser's knights retired. Graphia said over the intercom. He then started flying to his base, hoping to find out what Rias had in mind. But when he got there, no one else was there. Instead, only a note was left on the table. Issei, Kiba and Akino are in trouble. I'm going to go find Riser and try to get the drop on him. Get to his base as soon as possible. Boost. He then turned around and flew out the windows as fast as a jet. When he got to Riser's base, he found Rias laying down, almost defeated. On the ground, Asia was nowhere to be found. Before he got there, Issei could hear what Riser was saying. This poor little girl was your last chance, Rias. Now I'm going to crush her. Then I'm going to crush you. He has Asia. This made him go even faster. He landed in between Riser and Rias. He had Asia in his hand. He was choking her. Asia. Boost. He rocketed forward and grabbed Asia from Riser's grip and set her down behind Rias. Asia, get Rias back up. Then go and hide somewhere. She nodded and got on her knees to use her twilight healing on Rias. You little brat, Riser said, shooting fireballs the size of basketball at Issei, who was avoiding them to the best of his abilities. When Riser let up a little bit, Issei rushed forward and kneed Riser in the chest, knocking him over. Why, you little, wait a minute. He then smirked and snapped his fingers. When he did that, an explosion happened behind him, right where Asia and Rias were. I placed a little charm on your friend, now she is a bomb. Riser yelled at Issei. 1 on Rias's bishops retired. Riser then got up and started yelling at Issei, I am an immortal bird. No one can even land a scratch on me. You know what? Your parents deserved what they got. Your parents tried to protect you. So I cut them down. Ha 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 ha. Riser was a mess. He was losing his mind. Issei's balance breaker broke off of him, who was just standing, listening to Riser. Issei, Rias quietly said. Issei looked up and Riser saw he was crying. You, Riser, you made a very bad mistake, Diedreg said to Riser. Issei then deactivated his boosted gear. He looked at Riser with cold, dead eyes. Then, a black crown appeared on Issei's head. It had dark gems and seemed to hold a universe inside of them. Yes, indeed, you have made a very, very bad choice, Mr. Bird Guy, said a very creepy, unworldly voice. Nockmar mode engaged. Issei then raised his arm and flicked his wrist upward and Riser was sent to the ground, screaming and holding his head. Maki it stooooppp. Riser cried out. Riser was screaming in pain and horror. Rias turned her head and covered her ears to block out the horrid sounds that Riser is making. Pleassssee, I beg of you, make it stop. Riser then started to tear at his flesh, tearing skin and making deep cuts within himself with his nails. Ha, That's funny, Riser, because that's exactly what my parents said when you burned them alive. Issei screamed. Then Riser started to act as if he were on fire, swatting at his body screaming, "Put it out." Issei then turned his head to Rias, who had her hands over her ears. She was crying her eyes out, having to listen to Riser's hellish cries. Issei then realized what he was doing and stopped it. Riser was still on the floor, crying. Rias uncovered her ears and went to Issei, slowly approaching him as if she were scared of him. Issei. Are you, okay? Rias was scared that he would do the same to her. Yes, Rias, I'm fine, stop being scared, I'm in full control of my body. I would never do something like that to you. Issei said calmly. I resign. Get me away from him. Riser cried out. Then they were all teleported to a white room, where all the other members of Rias's peerage were. Issei ran to Asia and hugged her, very tightly. Asia, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to protect you, I'm still not strong enough to protect you. Issei said while crying in Asia's shoulder. Issei, it's fine. I'm all better now. And you won. You beat Riser. Asia said cheerfully. Issei, what was that you did to Riser? Rias asked. She looked to be still a little scared. Of what happened just a few minutes ago. I will explain when we get back to the schoolhouse. Issei said. At the old schoolhouse. Now Issei, explain yourself. I want to know about what you did to Riser and how you did it. Rias demanded. Well, I have more than one sacred gears. Everyone except for Asia was shocked. 2 sacred gears. That's unheard of. Its name is Mare. He is an old myth that turned out to be true. He is the source of all nightmares, so me and Diedreg decided to try and tame him. And it worked, kind of, Issei started to explain. Yes, I made a deal with him when I was made into this filthy thing called a sacred gear. I would let him borrow my power, if he would let me have some fun with him the night after, when he falls asleep. Everyone was confused when the crown started talking. I killed him and transferred his soul into this crown. Issei told everyone. So you gave Riser a nightmare, so what? Rias asked, confused. Well, using Mare, I can make a nightmare seem like real life. What he was experiencing was a hell of my and Mare's creation, using Noctmar mode. Said Issei. I made him see bugs crawling into his skin and then those bugs eating him from the inside. And his body limbs were being torn apart, slowly, and then I set him on fire. But the interesting thing is that when I use Diedreg's power to boost Noctmar mode, it make the pain feel real. Hence why he was begging for mercy. Issei said calmly. Everyone looked at Issei with wide eyes, trying to comprehend what Issei just said. Issei, what did Riser say about your parents that set you off? Rias asked. Issei just put his head down. I don't want to talk about it. Issei said. Then, after a long silence, Asia spoke up. Issei, it's time to go home, you have to get ready for tonight. Asia said, taking Issei's hand into hers. Yay, I will see you all in a couple of days. Then the two walked out of the room, still holding hands. In a few days, why so long? Rias thought. Back at Issei and Asia's house. Issei changed into comfy pajamas and Asia did the same. Issei, are you ready for tonight? Asia asked, worrying about Issei. Yes Asia, I am. Issei replied quietly. Then the two got into Issei's bed, Asia hugging Issei tightly. Issei whispered to Asia, Asia, I'm scared. Boy, you should be, you can't even imagine the kind of fun I'm going to have with you tonight. You know that you put Mr. Birdman through was hell. Well, your human mind will be blown. After you hear what I'm going to do to you tonight, within 5 minutes, you are going to wish you were dead. The crown was talking again. Issei then began to shake. Asia leaned and kissed him on the mouth. This seemed to calm him down a little bit. Issei, I love you, Asia said. I love you too Asia, Issei said. I will do everything in my power to keep him alive tonight, so you don't have to worry too much, but I can't do anything to suppress the pain or else that would break the deal. Diedreg said out loud. Asia kissed him again and Issei closed his eyes, ready to face the night. 2 a.m. Rias was worried about Issei. What had the crown meant? Have fun? Question mark. She teleported into Issei's living room to check on him but all he heard were screams of agony. Rias ran upstairs to where she heard the screaming coming from. She opened the door to Issei's room. What Rias saw was like hell to her. Issei was throwing himself around the bed, looking as though he was about to explode. Then he screamed, "Someone, kill me, please kill me." Rias also saw Asia, hugging onto Issei as best as she could, but she was being hit by Issei. She just took it and continued hugging Issei. She used her twilight healing to heal any wounds that Issei inflicted on himself and her. Rias could also hear Asia crying, trying to calm Issei down. But it wasn't helping. Rias knew she could do nothing, so she ran out the door and teleported out of the house. The last thing she heard before teleporting was Issei telling her, "Rias, kill me. Please end my suffering." The next day, at the Occult Research Club, everyone was gathered around, excluding Asia and Issei. Rias and Akino were sitting on one of the two couches, while Kiba and Kaneko were sitting on the other. They were discussing what happened during the raiding game yesterday. Turns out they also had traps set up in the same area as we did, after I got done fighting the other night. I turned around and activated a charm set by their queen, then an explosion happened and I was teleported into the hospital to get bandaged up. Kiba explained. That's kind of what happened to me too. I was fighting the rook and their other pawns and their traps got set off and I guess we all disappeared. Akino said. Kaneko turned to Rias and explained. To Rias what happened to her and Issei. Rias took in that knowledge and put her head down, thinking about the details. Then, after a few moments of silence, Akino tapped Rias on the shoulder, asking her, "So Rias, what happened when Asia disappeared? I've never heard of power before." Rias looked at Akino. She looked like she didn't want to talk about it. "Well, putting that aside, let's go out and get some contracts done," Rias said, hoping to change the subject. They all agreed. Kiba and Kaneko teleported out of the room to go to their first contracts for the day, leaving Akino and Rias to themselves. "Akino, I want you to stay here. If they come back, tell them to try to form new contracts when they get down servicing their already formed contracts," Rias ordered Akino. "I'm going to go check on Issei and Asia. I'll be back," Rias said when she started heading to the door. "Okay Rias, tell them I said hi," Akino said before she closed the door. At Issei and Asia's house. Rias deck. IDED to walk to Issei's house instead of teleport. She wanted to stall going to see Issei. She was scared of what she might find, but she had to check on them. Rias knocked on the front door and after a few moments, Asia opened the door. Asia had messy hair as if she had just gotten up. She also had some little blood stains on her pajamas. Asia told her to come in and sit down. She made some tea for her and sat down with her. Asia also noticed that Rias was starting at the little blood stains on her pajamas. Asia just lowered her head and said quietly, "This is not my blood, you know." Rias just jolted her head up, realizing she was staring at her. I'm so sorry Asia, I didn't mean to stare." Rias started to apologize. Asia just nodded her head. "I guess you came here to check on Issei, is that right?" Asia asked. Rias just nodded. Asia looked at Rias with sad eyes, then she got up and grabbed Rias's hand. Rias got up and followed Asia, up the stairs and through the door. Rias saw Issei, laying completely still in his bed. Rias could only faintly see him breathing. "Rias, if Issei tries to use that power again, please try to stop him. I hate to see him go through this just for payback," Asia said quietly, trying not to speak too loud in fear she would wake Issei. "Asia, Rias started to talk, but she stopped, seeing Asia starting to cry. "Do you know what it's like hearing the person you love beg you to kill him? It's horrible Rias, please never let him go through that again," Asia said through her sobs. Rias took Asia in her arms and hugged her, and Asia just hugged her back. Asia was starting to cry into Rias's shoulder. Rias just stood there, not sure what to do. Then, after a few minutes of trying to comfort Asia, they broke apart and closed the door and went downstairs. "Asia, do you want me to stay here with you for a while?" Rias asked, hoping that she would be company to Asia while Issei is sleeping. "If you're not too busy, then yes, I would love that," Asia replied. 30 minutes later, Asia and Rias were in the living room, sitting next to each other. Asia was talking about things that they saw when they went to Europe when they heard a knock on the door. Asia got up and walked to the door. She looked through the peephole and then opened the door. The person who walked through the door was a man, with black hair and a brown trench coat. "Asia, where is Issei?" said the man. "He's right upstairs, sensei," Asia responded. Sensei. So is this a teacher of Issei and Asia's? Rias though while staring at the man. He then started to walk upstairs, carrying a briefcase in his right hand. When he got into the room, he shook Issei to try and wake him, but he didn't, so the man just sat the briefcase on his bed and popped it open. Rias and Asia tried to get a closer look. It was just an empty briefcase. Wait, there was a small bottle in the middle of it. He took the bottle and swirled it a few times in his hand, then he took the top of and threw it by us. He took a single drop of the liquid that was inside the bottle and put it in Issei's mouth. When the drop went into his mouth and he swallowed it, Issei's body started to move. He moved his hand to his head. Then his eyes opened, he looked at the man with black hair, then reached up and touched his face. Sensei, Issei said. It's okay Issei, you are going to be fine. I just put a phoenix tear in your body. You going to be fine. The man said. Then Issei lifted his body and hugged the man just looked surprised. I'm so glad that you're really alive. Issei said. Well, of course I am. No one can take me down easily, remember? He just replied. He made me watch you die, over and over again. Issei then started to cry. He looked up from hugging the man and saw me and Asia. He let go of the man and ran to Asia, almost knocking her off her feet. Asia, Issei just stopped talking and kissed her. I went through hell over and over again last night. I was stabbed. Had my toes and fingers chopped off, and I even caught on fire, but the worst thing was seeing you get hurt. He made me witness him doing horrible things to you. I couldn't take it, but I was powerless to stop it. Issei said. They hugged and kissed over and over again. Rias was thinking about giving them some privacy when he turned to her and went to hug her too. He let go of her, still crying, and took Asia's hand and walked downstairs. Asia made them all tea. They sat to talk in the living room. Sensei, thank you very much for that. It would have taken me many days to recover if it weren't for you, thank you. Issei said. Oh, it was no biggie, I just had some dirt on the Phoenix family, so they gave me that to keep quiet. The man said. Oh Rias, this is my sensei, Aoto. Issei introduced his teacher to Rias. He stood up and shook her hand. Hi, I'm Rias Grimori, nice to meet you. They both sit back down and continue talking. Sensei has been like a big brother to me ever since I met him. He took care of me after my parents died. Issei spit when he said the last word. He trained me to use my powers ever since he realized that I had this power. Issei explained. Had no idea that he was part heavenly dragon. When I realized it I almost passed out. From then on, I knew I had to train him. Said Aoto. They all chatted about Issei's childhood for the whole night. It was filled with happy moments, sad moments, and exiting stories of fallen angel slaying. Later that night. Well, I guess it's time to go. I will be back tomorrow to check on you Issei, so don't be surprised when I show up at your front door. Aoto said, leaving out the front door. I guess it's time for me to head home also. I will see you at the clubhouse tomorrow. Rias said. She didn't really talk at all when Aoto was here. She just mostly sat and listened. Issei thought she just felt awkward. See you later Rias, Asia said while smiling. When everyone left, Asia was taking care of tea. Teacups and Issei was picking up his room from last night. After he got done, he came downstairs, and Asia had set up another date night. There was popcorn, a big blanket, and lots of movies scattered on the floor. With Asia in the middle of them. She got up with a movie in her hand and started cleaning up the others. What she picked out was a comedy movie. She smiled happily, holding in her hands showing Issei. I figured that after what happened last night, we should make this night fun-filled. Asia said before she ran off to put the movie in. This will be fun, Issei thought. When the movie was put in, Asia ran around the house turning off all the lights in the house, and closing the all curtains in the living room. Then she grabbed Issei's hand and led him to the couch they bought. Sat down and Asia threw the blanket over them both. Asia took Issei's hand and put his fingers in between hers. She then leaned over and sat on his lap, leaning on his body. Asia hit the play button and grabbed the popcorn, putting some in her mouth before offering some to Issei, which he took. Halfway through the movie. You know what, this movie is actually pretty funny. Issei thought. Ha 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 ha. Woo ha ha. Apparently Ddrag thought the same thing. Drake was laughing to himself hysterically. It was hard to concentrate on the movie with him laughing in his head. You know, it's really hard to concentrate with you laughing like that, Issei said, irritated at the dragon. I'm sorry, but did you see that guy? Ha ha ha, he continues laughing. Issei noticed Asia had fallen asleep in his lap. She sleeps really quietly, so Issei only just realized it. But now he could hear her snoring quietly. He picked her up and carried her to his room. He placed Asia down on his bed and covered her up. She must be tired from staying up all night last night, Issei thought. Issei got into the bed with her. He started thinking about her. He was very lucky to have her. Then Issei closed his eyes and fell asleep. The next day Issei woke before Asia, as he does most days. He got dressed in his school uniform and went downstairs and made some coffee. Today was Monday, the worst day of all week. Issei needed some coffee. After he made the coffee and poured himself some, he sat and made himself a bowl of cereal. After he was done eating, he realized that Asia had not woken up yet and went upstairs to wake her. Asia, it's time to wake up, we have school today, he said while knocking on the door, but there was no answer. He opened the door and went inside. Asia was not on the bed. And in her place was a note. Issei, if you want Asia back, meet me at the shopping mall. That's all that was written on the note. Issei then shot out the window, flying using his devil wings to fly. At the mall. When Issei arrived at the mall, there were people guarding the entrance to the inside of the mall. He walked up to them, they noticed him and started to laugh. Ha ha, this is what we have to protect the mall from. Ha, the boss might be losing it. To think that this little shrimp, snap. Issei had darted forward and snapped the man's neck. The other man, raising his sword, started to swing. But Issei wanted to get inside, so he caught the sword and turned it onto the man, stabbing him through the heart. Running inside, he used his dragon senses to try to smell if Asia was nearby. He could not sense her, so he kept on running. He ran around the corner and found about 20 men, ready to fight him. Issei just activated his boosted gear. Boost. He then started fighting. There were swords and bodies being thrown around by Issei. He was ready to end this and find Asia. For the last 5 men he just stood there. He could tell they were far more powerful than the other men he fought. They all held powerful sword and 3 of them charged at him. Boost. He stood there, blocking all the swords that were flying to his body, then they all flew back and landed with their comrades. Dragon shout. The dragon within Issei started to blow the remaining 5 away. They all landed in the wall behind them and slumped down to the ground. Boost. He just ran past the 5 and continued running. He got to the middle of the mall and saw a mass of people. They all held swords and guns, looking for a fight. Boost. Issei looked at the mass of people. He knew he could be in trouble with this amount of people. He tried to look around to see if he could use something to get an edge on these people when suddenly he heard Asia's voice over the mall intercom. Issei, please help me. We're in the mall's offie. Then the intercom turned off. This made Issei mad. He turned to the mass of people again. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. With his armor he charged into battle. There was swords and bullets flying at him, but he didn't care. He just wanted to get to Asia. He tore through all the people, throwing them like they are garbage. When he was done, there were people all over, on the ground, bleeding and asking for help. But Issei didn't care. He just carried on. It sounded like Asia was going to say the office before she got cut off. Then suddenly, Issei got thrown into the air and out the skylights, where he landed on the roof. It was a trap. Issei though, getting up. Then someone walked up to him, and he was carrying Asia. You have done good boy, but now you have to beat me. The man said. He was wearing a big black hood, covering his whole face. Boost. Issei jetted forward, catching the man off guard and punched him in the gut. The guy just put Asia down and got into a fighting stance. He looked like he knew what he was doing. Boost. Issei was now powered up. He then released a huge amount of power and aura that shook the ground. The man ran forward, trying to punch Issei, but Issei was powered up and was ready to fight. He kept dodging the man's punches, but the man was very fast. He ended up hitting Issei in the face, knocking him backward. Part of Issei's mask was broken, revealing that his nose was bleeding. Boost. The man just kept throwing punches at Issei. He was too fast. Dragon shout. This blew the man away a few yards. But he was still on his feet. Power up. Dragon Slayer, Ascalon. The blade came out of Issei's left arm, with this he had some range to his melee attacks. Boost. Issei's body was now pouring out power. Issei was powered and fired up, and he was determined to beat this guy. Issei moved very fast, he was trying to cut this guy, but he was way too fast and too strong. Issei tried to back off and think of a strategy. But every time Issei tried to get away, he would jump forward and attack him. Issei started to put some demonic power into his sword, making it go faster, but that guy was always one step ahead of me. The guy kept attacking Issei, over and over throwing punches into his dragon armor. Then he spun around and kicked Issei in the face, throwing him back onto his butt. Then Issei began to feel a power that he didn't recognize inside his body, it felt like Rias's and Akino's power. Boost. Issei stood up and retracted Ascalon and held out his hands, out came a demonic red power and lightning. He then shot out that power, right to that guy, and it resulted in a huge explosion. Dragon shot. Issei shot a ball of dragon powers at him, resulting in another explosion. Issei could see the man laying on this back. Issei looked at him and decided that he wasn't going to get up anytime soon, so he ran past him and went to Asia. He spotted Asia and he ran over to her. He picked her up and put her in his lap, but when he tried to pick her up, she disappeared in his hands. What? Issei said, surprised that had just happened. You have gotten a lot more powerful since I've last fought you, Issei. The man said, You did this to her. Issei ran and threw another punch at his face, but the man just caught his fist. Don't worry Issei, Asia is just fine. You can come out now. The man called out, his voice sounded familiar. Then Asia came around the corner, hiding from all the action. They ran to each other and hugged each other. You really are a tough one Issei, you almost beat me. The man said, he reached up and pulled down his hood. The man that had taken Asia was Aoto. Sorry about all this Issei, I just needed something to get you motivated, so I asked Asia for her help. Aoto said. Issei looked back at Asia, you were in on this Asia. Asia nodded and said, Yes, I was against it, but Aoto insisted that me being kidnapped would enable you to fight to your full potential. So this was all just a game? Issei asked Aoto. No, it was a test, to see how much more powerful you have become since completing your training with me, and I do Avenue to say that you have gotten a lot stronger, you almost beat me at half power. Aoto explained. He then pulled the collar of his shirt down and revealed some tattoos much like Issei's. I had Asia put these on me so that it would be more a fair fight. Aoto said. But what about all those people in the mall that I fought? Thinking about the people he thought he killed. Oh, those are just shadow replicas of me, using shadow magic. I made them to warm up into balance breaker before you got here. Aoto explained. He looked back at Asia and she just put her head down. Well, I guess we should head to school. After I get a change of clothes of course. Issei said, trying to cheer Asia up, she was obviously upset about betraying Issei. I don't think so Issei, you're coming with me. Aoto said. Wait, what? Issei said. We have some important things to do. Aoto said, while laughing. Aoto took Issei and lifted him over his shoulder, and took off in the sky, leaving Asia alone. After the events of that morning, Asia walked home by herself. Aoto had taken Issei even before she could say goodbye. She had no idea when he was going to be back, or where they had gone. Asia arrived at home, she decided not to go to school today. So she went in and got changed into casual clothes. Then she started cleaning up from the night they had last night, there was popcorn everywhere. Apparently here Issei had spilled popcorn onto the floor last night, and it was everywhere. She put away the blanket and pillows and got out the vacuum cleaner and started to sweep the carpet. When she got done cleaning the living room, she put the vacuum cleaner away and started to clean the kitchen. Then after the kitchen, she started on hers and Issei's bedroom. She opened the curtains and made their bed, making it so that any mom would be proud of it. Then she turned to the other side of the room, there was a desk and a dresser across from the bed. She dusted the dresser, then moved onto the desk. Before she started cleaning the desk, she moved some of the picture frames from the top shelf of the desk. There were pictures of her and Issei traveling around the world. There was one when they went to Paris, Rome, and Mexico. Those were some great pictures, and they looked like they were just taking a trip, if you didn't know the story behind them. Issei and Asia just got done with training and started a life of their own. When the fallen angels heard that the Red Dragon Emperor had become stronger, they wanted that power for themselves, so they tried to take it from them, so they just kept running, but they kept finding them. So they would fight and run. Until they found this place that was Devil's territory. When they found that out, they decided to hide here as fallen angels were not allowed to come into Devil's territories. They thought that they could just hide from the devils and live here in peace, but that didn't even last a day and they found Issei. But now they were here, and they were happy to live with the devils. Asia put the pictures on the bed and cleaned the desk, then she put them back. After Asia had spent some time cleaning the whole house, she decided to take an easy day and read some of her favorite books. Asia loved reading, she always has, even when she was a little kid. She picks up her favorite novel and decides to read that for a while. It was about a boy with powers such as super strength and super speed. He has to defend himself and his family. This book reminded her of her own life, of Issei and how he protects her. Evening. After a few hours of reading, Asia puts the book down and gets up. She stretches and puts away the books on the bookshelf. She looks around. Asia was very lonely. She walked to the front door and slipped her shoes on. She wanted to go see Rias and the others, to try to break this loneliness. She started walking to the old schoolhouse and she began to think about Issei. She wondered what he was doing right now. Ayo said that he was going to train him to use that new power, so he must be doing something with that. Ayoto had taken care of her and Issei for a very long time before they came to Kuo town. He also trained Issei to be very strong. That's why Issei is as strong as he is now. But Issei will never be as powerful as Ayoto. He is one of the strongest beings ever. Ayoto is a master at fighting, using the elements and his supernatural strength to his advantage. He really is a force to be reckoned with. That's why he beat Issei that morning, because he was using his powers to fight him. Ayoto is also a master at shadow magic, meaning that he could control shadows and stuff like that. He can copy himself and fight his opponent from more than 10 different places. Asia broke her chain of though as she walked up to the old school building. She walked to the front door and knocked. No one answered, instead she heard grunts and metal clashing behind the building. Asia walked around and saw that the Grimoire team was training. It was Kiba and Rias fighting. Rias made a sword out her powers and she was fighting Kiba with it. When Asia walked up to them, they stopped training and they welcomed her. Kiba looked to be out of breath but still welcomed her anyways. "Where were you today, Asia? I noticed that you weren't in class today." Kiba said. "Well, I got busy today and decided to stay home today." Asia replayed. She decided to keep the events of this morning a secret for now. "Well, Asia, do you want to train with us?" Rias asked. "I guess so, I'm not good at fighting though." Asia admitted. "That's okay, I'll take it easy on you," Rias said. They both walked to an empty area and Asia looked very nervous. "You don't have to worry at all, Asia, I won't punch you, I just want to know how hard you can strike, is that okay?" Rias asked. "Yes, that's fine, Rias. But I don't punch or hurt other people, I just run, that's why I have this," Asia said before bringing out her twilight healing rings and activating them. She then began to glow. A faint green and a grayish type of armor formed around her, although it didn't cover very much of her body. "That's very impressive, Asia, but it won't do much good in battle," Rias said. "Oh, no, it's not for fighting, it's for running," Asia said before she disappeared. Only Rias could see her move because she has trained her eyes to see fast things. "That's awesome, Asia. I see Issei has helped you very much," Rias said. "That's right, with just a little bit of Issei's dragon power my twilight healing can do more than just heal, it can make you stronger or faster," Asia explained. "It take the healing factor to the next level, by making you even stronger by using the healing," Asia added. "Wow," everyone said in union after Asia explained. Then she stopped right in front of Rias and deactivated her armor. Rias looked at her watch and was shocked at what time it was. "Guys, we are running late, we need to get to our contracts," Rias said. Then everyone ran inside the school building. Only Asia was confused. "What is a contract?" Asia asked. "Oh, I guess I never explained this to you or Issei, you have to teleport to a person who ca. LLS a devil and you have to do whatever they want, in hopes that you'll fill a contract, of course you will get something in return, you have to demand that you get something of equal value back. Like money or something, Rias explained to Asia. Asia nodded her head and watched Kaneko and Akino teleport out of the room with a red teleport circle, while Rias held Kiba back. Kiba, would you mind acting Asia to a contract to show her how it's done? Rias asked Kiba. Sure, I think Ms. Suno would not mind that at all. Kiba said. Asia and Kiba both stepped into the teleport circle and teleported into an apartment. High up above the city, Asia could look out the big glass windows and see the whole city. Oh, Kiba, thank goodness you're here, I could use some help tonight, said a woman who came out from another room. Oh hi Ms. Suno, this is my friend's Asia, she is just going to watch how I preform a contract, is that okay with you? Kiba asked. Oh yes, that's perfectly fine. Ms. Suno replied. She then walked into the living room and dropped on the couch, she immediately fell asleep. Come on Asia, let's go into the kitchen, Kiba whispered to Asia. They both walked into the kitchen, everything was cleaned and shiny. Like the kitchen was brand new. Ms. Suno is a very busy lawyer, she's one of the best in Kuo town, but she is very busy during the day and wants to sleep when she gets home. But by the time she tries to make dinner or clean she's too tired. So she formed a contract with me so I could do the cooking and the cleaning, Kiba said with putting on an apron and got out a pot. Later that night, after Kiba had made dinner, cleaned the house, and did laundry, it was time for them to go home. Ms. Suno got up after he had gotten done and paid him some money, they both said goodbye and left. When they returned to the clubhouse, they found Kaneko sitting on the couch and Rias sitting at the desk. Well Asia, did you learn anything? Rias asked when they got into the room. Yes Rias, I learned a lot of things, Asia said. Are you ready to take your own contract? Rias asked. Am my own? Already, Asia said, nervous that she would have to go somewhere strange alone. Well, yay. In order for you to become a better devil you need to form contracts, it's also a good way to make some extra pocket money, Rias said. Asia sat there, thinking about it for a few moments. Well, I guess I will, Asia said finally. Great, now we have a new client for you so you can go straight there, Rias said, activating the teleport circle. Asia walked over to the teleport circle and stepped on it. She then waved as she disappeared from the room. Asia was teleported into a room that was green and pink with posters of anime girls posted all over the walls. These girls look familiar, Asia said as she looked at the posters. Well hello there little girl, do you like Magical Girl as much as I think you do? A masculine voice said from the corner. Asia could not see who the voice belonged to because the person was sitting in a dark corner in the room. The person got up off the floor and started to walk forward and Asia's jaw dropped. The person whose room this was is a guy, and not only that, a big guy. Like big enough to kill you with one punch. Asia was also very confused because he was wearing a cosplay of the girl's outfit in the posters, except his cosplay was half his size, exposing her abs. Are you the devil I summoned Nio? The man asked. Why yes, I am a devil, Asia said, nervous to what he was going to do to her. Please Ms. Devil, I want to become a fabulous girl just like in my animes. Nio, he begged. Asia wasn't sure as to what to do, she didn't have the power to turn him into a girl, let alone a fantasy girl. Well, I don't know if I can do that, Asia said, very nervous to what he might do. He stared at Asia, making her scared, then he started to whimper then he started to cry. His cries and howls shook the whole room. Asia started walked to the man and tried to calm him down, but he just kept on crying. She went up and hugged him, he hugged her back and kept crying. Asia tried to think of something to say, when he stopped and looked at her and said, do you Sniff want to come inside? Sniff? He asked while wiping the tears from his eyes. Yes, I would love to come inside, Asia said with smiling. That got him up, he jumped on his feet and started jumping excitedly. I will go get some tea in my favorite anime and we can braid our hair and be magical girls together. He ran off into another room which Asia thought was the kitchen. She got up and walked into the living room, there was posters and pictures of anime girls all over the walls. Asia knew these girls, she used to watch the show they were in a long time ago. The show was called The Adventures of Magical Milky Girl. It seems that this guy took this stuff to heart, he pretended to be her, and even summoned a devil to try to become one. Asia just stood in the room and looked around. She heard Miltan humming in the kitchen. He said he was going to make tea. When he was done, he brought out 2 cups of tea, of course they had pictures of Milky Girl on them. He then sat them on the table in front of the couch and grabbed a DVD box off the floor. It was Magical Milky Girl. He threw the DVD in the movie player and ran to the couch, grabbing a big box. The box was huge. It seemed that only he could lift it by the looks of it. He grabbed Asia and set her on the couch. He opened the box. Inside was everything that you would need: nail polish, lipstick, eyeliner, and other makeup and hair stuff. He looked very excited when he pushed play on the remote. He threw the remote and dug into the box. 3 hours later, after they had watched the whole Magical Milky Girl Season 1 box set, and done their makeup, made up their hair into braids, and done everything else that Miltan had in store for them, Asia thought it was time to go home. Wait, before you go home, can I form a contract with you so that we can do this again, Nio? Miltan asked. Well, of course you can, I have the paper right here, Asia said while pulling out a piece of paper that Rias handed her before she left. Miltan grabbed a pen and wrote his name on the paper. The contract was formed. I hope Rias will be happy, Asia thought. Now, my master said in order for this contract to be fully formed, I need to receive something of value that matches the actions that match the contract. Asia said. Well, I don't have much money, so you can have this, Nio, Miltan said while grabbing another Season 1 box set, and put it in Asia's hands. Thank Tan, Asia said, not sure what she would do with this DVD set. Okay, I will see you later, Ms. Devil Nio, Miltan said before leading her to the door. Asia walked outside, saying goodbye to Miltan again before he shut the door. Asia then took a moment to breathe, then she teleported into the old school building. Rias was the only one left in the building, and she looked tired. Asia, you're back. I wanted to stay here so that I know you returned safe, Rias said. Asia just sighed and slumped on the couch. She was very tired. She looked at the clock. It was 3 a.m. I'm sorry to put Miltan on you for your first contract. No one else would take him, but we had to because his desire was bigger than anyone else, Rias said. It's okay, Rias. I'm going to go home. I will see you tomorrow, Asia said while yawning. Asia started to head out the door before Rias got up and followed her. Let me walk you home. It will wake me up too. Plus it's a very beautiful night out, Rias said. Asia just nodded. They continued walking. Rias asked Asia what they did while she was at Miltan's house. Asia explained that he had asked to be transformed. Then what happened after she said she could not. Then she explained what she and Miltan did after she calmed her down, when they watched anime and put on makeup and put their hair up. Rias just listened to Asia talk. She talked the whole way home. When they got to Asia's house, Rias stopped and was about to say goodnight, but Asia stopped her. Rias, I know that this might be weird, but will you stay the night with me? Asia asked. What about Issei? I know you guys have a special sleeping arrangement, don't you? Rias said, confused and tired. Well, yes. Issei went with Aoto to do some special training. He's been gone the whole day, and I'm not sure when they will return, Asia said. Rias just sighed, and then she looked mad. So he just walked into town and took one of my servants, even without telling me first. When they get back, I'm going to have a talk with this Aoto guy, Rias said. She was outraged that he would take one of her servants without even notifying her first. They both walked inside the house, which was still very clean from Asia's cleaning that morning. Asia made them both some tea. They sat down on the couch and Rias told Ket about the kinds of contracts that she does herself. One of my biggest contract is a scientist that has made some big discoveries thanks to my help, Rias said. Asia looked at Rias with astonishment. Rias went on about some other contracts that she has formed in the past, all the weirder amazing ones. When it got to be around 4 o'clock they decided to go to bed finally. Asia and Rias both went upstairs and climbed into the bed in Asia's actual room. Rias fell asleep right away, but Asia just laid there and thought about Issei. Issei was taken by Aoto to a small island far away from any other place. Remember this place? This is where you will be for the duration of training. Aoto said while laughing. Do I remember this place? Like hell I do. This is where I grew up after Riser killed my parents. Issei thought to himself. When they landed, they were greeted by two very different looking people. The man to the left was dressed in bright, colorful clothes, an orange hoodie and bright green cargo pants. While the girl on the right was dressed in dark, all black clothing, black jeans and a large black coat. Issei. Is that you? Yelled the man in bright clothes. The girl just stared at Issei, seeming to track him with her eyes. Hello Pita, long time no see, huh? Issei said to the colorful man. His full name is Pitambara, but everyone just calls him Pita. Tilda starey tilde. Girl in dark clothes was staring at Issei, with a very intimidating glare. Hello to you too, sure, it's very nice to see you too. Issei said, laughing nervously. Issei patted her on the head, she looked down nervously after Issei addressing her. Well, I'll let you three get caught up, you all have so much to talk about. Aoto said, laughing slightly. Aoto, I don't know why you took me here so suddenly. But I need to get back to Asia, I don't want to leave her by herself. Issei said, angry at Aoto for the sudden abduction. We have a bit of a situation, and we need your help. Aoto said, quote, did you have to take me all the way here though? Issei said angrily. I wanted you to spend some time with your old friends and new comrades. I'll explain everything tomorrow, spend some time with Pita and Chur, have some fun. Do whatever you kids used to do when you were little. Aoto said, while laughing and walking out of the room. Issei sat in the small room with his two other friends. They were close when they were little. But now, since they haven't seen each other when Issei went off with Asia, they weren't so close. Hey Issei, remember that trail we always used to run when we were little? Want to go there? For old time's sakes, Pita asked. There used to be a trail they set up with targets, and they would run as fast as they could through the trail, hitting the targets as accurately as possible. Whoever made it out fastest and had the best accuracy won. Issei thought about it for a second. Sure, why not? Issei could hear a very, very small gasp of excitement from Chur, but he started to blush and put her head down. They started towards the old trail, passing old and new building. Issei could remember every single old building they had. But there was also some new buildings that he never saw before. Pita noticed Issei gawking at the new, fancy buildings. These were put in when Aoto started having guests over for dinner parties and such. Pita explained. He started pointing to some of the buildings and explaining what they were. That's a diner hall, where Aoto has all of his dinner parties, that's the new trophy hall. Pita went on and on about all the new trophies that Aoto got from his adventures. So, when was the last time you guys have been off this island? Issei asked. They thought about it for a minute. Aoto lets us off the island about once every month. We go the mainland and do help with different missions. Pita said. Issei was dumbfounded, once a month. Only for missions. What is Aoto thinking? They kept walking until they reached the old trail. There was a path leading into a heavily wooded forest area. Are you ready Issei? You can go first, Pita said. Issei agreed and took his spot at the start line, when Chur leaned to him and whispered, be careful. Issei just nodded, and when Pita said go, he took off into the woods. It was just as he remembered it, the targets were in the same exact spots and the path was still clearly marked. Weird, after all these years. This path doesn't have any plants growing on it. Issei thought. Issei heard a whistling sound to his right. Issei ducked just in time for a dart to hit the tree behind him. He stopped and looked at the dart, when another one shot just past him. More darts kept shooting at him, with deadly accuracy. Issei had to keep running. Issei took off again, activating his boosted gear to get a boost. Boost. Issei ran faster, but to his surprise, fireballs were now being flung at him from the dark forest. Boost. Issei ran even faster, barely avoiding fireballs. Issei came to the end of the trail, only to have it be blocked off, and have a separate trail branch off the end. Issei had to choice but to keep running. This is not at all how I remember this trail. Issei thought. Issei kept running along the new trail, when Diedrag said. Issei, I can sense wild animals in this part of the woods. Okay, thanks, I'll keep my eye out. Issei thought. Issei could hear snarling all over in the woods. Then a pitch-black dog jumped at Issei. Issei jumped out of the way of the huge animal. These were not normal dogs, and they were bigger and it looked like they were communicating with each other. 4 more jumped out from the dark area and surrounded Issei. Issei had nowhere else to run, so he decided to fight. Boost. 1 dog jumped at him, and Issei spun around and kicked the dog aside. 1 down, Issei thought. The dogs started circling around Issei, when 2 jumped at him from the front and behind him. Issei grabbed the dogs by the muzzles and flung them at the last dog, knocking it over. Issei took off down the path, with many more dogs in pursuit. Boost. Issei was running and fending off dogs, punching and kicking them, until they finally stopped following. Issei ran until he reached an open field. There were 2 figures standing in the middle, side by side. Issei didn't see who they were until he got close, revealing the figures as Pita and Chur. "Hey Issei. See, you finally made it out of the trail, you lose by the way." Issei laughed, and Pita grabbed him by the shoulder. "But the trail isn't over yet, we've yet to see how strong you've really gotten since you've left the island," Pita said, while he and Chur jumped back. Pita and Chur activated their sacred gear. Pita's sacred gear was a shield that could turn into a sword if he wanted. While Chur's sacred gear is 2 giant, black revolvers, fed off her own magic powers. "We just want to test you out, but be warned we'll shoot to kill." Then Chur disappeared and reappeared behind Issei, smashing the barrel of one of her pistols against the back of his head. "Sorry," she whispered. "Thanks for watching."